And the one thing I'll always say to everybody, and this is the biggest statement ever, is never sell the car. Sell the need that the car will fill.
Thanks for joining us on episode 4 of 12 TV, where we have a main man, Ryan Holtz, here in the house. He is a marketing agency owner, automotive industry marketing expert. He is an international speaker, has a booming podcast where everyone's jumping on that one.
Cool.
Fashion trendsetter, always in suit and tie. Surprised you're not.
Yeah, not
suit
today,
and tie.
man.
Yeah,
Not today.
weird. I put on a dress shirt.
Yeah, not today. Not today.
Featured on Global News, CTV, numerous automotive publications, and Edmonton Journal too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love what you're up to. Can you tell us more about Ryan Holtz as a person and a little more about your agency?
Yeah, you know what? I own a company called Ryan Holtz Marketing, and it's an agency, full-service creative agency that services mostly the automotive community and some real estate. Try to really take a different spin on interactions with clients, interactions with getting new business. I literally do coin this phrase in the sense that I say I'm not Walmart of marketing agency owners. I'm Versace, and what that means to my clients is, I'm a specific taste, and the way I run my business and run my agency is very one-to-one, very personalized. And it's turned out so far so good. We've never ever, I'm really proud to say we've never ever went out and pitched one piece of business. All the business that we've gotten is either through online or word of mouth or referral. And yeah, Ryan Holtz is a proud father 14 months ago. I'm a husband. I love yoga. I love life. I love kind of poking at people and being really curious in life and living my full self on purpose. I don't ever come to the public or anything that I do half-assed. I don't show only one part of myself. I'm a real dude, and have a podcast called Ryan Holtz Show Podcast, and our motto is just real talk. And I think a lot of people say real talk, but they don't actually do real talk. But we actually do real talk.
Yeah. I was honored to be on that too. What episode was that again?
You were on episode, I want to say 7 or 8, and man, I really appreciate having you on. I feel like I need to have you on again, just because I'm like, man, I think our production's a lot better now.
Yeah.
There's other questions I would ask, and I knew that when we started the podcast, it was going to be kind of a passion project where we're going to learn a lot as we went. I can really say, in terms of being humble and kind of a student, is some of the guests, all of the guests that we've had on, I walk away like literally becoming a better person.
Wow.
And the podcast for me has it's impacted me in more ways than I ever would have imagined, because I've gotten the opportunity to talk to some really cool people, and I think the format that we do allows the people that come on to actually be themselves and not come on like, through like a PR, like not through some crazy perspective.
So do you handpick all your guests?
I handpick all my guests, and we're at the point where we're getting a lot of guests that are reaching out to us. Like this morning I got 5 pitches just from people emailing saying I'd love to be a guest on the show. And some people, you can tell they want to come on basically just to advertise their own company.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I do this and I really want to talk about why I'm great at this. And I'm like, note to self, if you're going to pitch, don't start off a pitch by telling me like how you're going to benefit. Right. You have to tell the person you're actually talking to 100%. How they're going to benefit, right? So, yeah.
Cool. So why did you start the podcast? It's just fun.
Started the podcast because, truth be told, if I wasn't, like, I'm an entrepreneur through and through, but if I wasn't a company owner, one of my passions is broadcasting.
Right.
I would have literally loved to go into radio as a host. I would have loved to go into TV as an anchor. But with traditional media comes a lot of formatting. I kind of ventured down that path a little bit, and I, talked to some producers and things like that. Probably could have made it happen, but what I didn't like was TV and television. It's not real talk. It's completely formatted.
Filtered.
It's so filtered. They tell you what to say, what to wear, how to be, who to say it. You're going through publicists. By the time the real talk, goes through all the pipelines, it's now not real talk.
Yeah.
And that's also the real reason why traditional media is going down the tube. And I mean, this is why you're seeing multiple radio stations, TV stations under one roof, because we're in 2018 and the people are the media. If you have I'm using my cell phone there, but if you got one of the cell phones, you are a media company. Straight up.
And this is what I love about right now, right? We're shooting a show. We're on live. 20 years ago, there's no way we could be live to millions of people. That kind of idea.
Absolutely.
Without going through the whole process,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Tell us what Ryan Holtz is a speaker. You've been doing a lot of international speaking.
Yeah.
You just got back from Mexico, right?
Yeah. So
tell us about that and what you speak about.
Yeah, I went down to Cancun, Mexico, and an auto finance company brought me in to do one of their keynotes for a group of their diamond dealers. And
what's a diamond dealer?
Diamond dealer in the automotive sector is just some, basically like an upper echelon of dealers who are, for their business, it's basically who's financing the most amount of car deals through the bank, and basically brought them down. And as a show of appreciation, they treat them, they wine and dine them and do all that, but then they also want to give an educational component to it. So I was brought down to Cancun, and I like speaking, but what's so funny is that I got into the speaking stuff completely by accident. And how it all happened was because I was, putting out content and, have a really good presence online and, really tried to be a craft but be unique and be different in what I do. I think that really got the attention of a lot of people that said, you know what, I'd like to have this guy come speak to our audience. I can also tell you that when I first started speaking, man, I was nervous. It's not easy.
When was your first gig? I could never do
it. One of my first speaking gigs in front of a large crowd was actually at the Wynn in Las Vegas. So it was not, and I like to show vulnerability, and I'm a real dude. I think it was a speech that I went in trying to make up my speech and my talk as though what I figured that people would want to hear, and that was probably the worst thing I could ever do.
Right.
To the audience, I don't think I butchered the talk. To me, I completely failed the talk. It's still a talk that I talk about to this day, and people are like, man, that's really cool. And I'm like, but I butchered it. And people are like, but no, it turned out good. I'm like, it wasn't my good. It wasn't actually Ryan Holtz talking. It was Ryan Holtz that thinks whatever you want. Yes. And when people are kind of diving into the speaking adventure, if that's kind of a path that you want to go down, I just want to caution people, be yourself. Do not make your presentation as though what other people want to hear. Make sure that there's also always nuggets of value, but be you, true and true.
Right, and that's what they're hiring. That's why they picked you in the first place. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, Cancun. I've spoken all over the place. I think last year was 4 or 5 countries, at least 12 to 15 cities. And provinces, you name it, man. I've been in the Toronto airport. In 2016, I was in the Toronto airport like 29 times.
Wow.
So it just kind of goes to show, right?
And most interesting crowd or gig?
It's funny. One of my favorite speaking gigs was actually a wedding I did as an MC, a hired professional MC, and it kind of brought me back to the days of the Wedding Crashers and things like that.
Did you know anybody there? Or
I didn't know anybody there. It was actually for a nice couple, and it was a really small event. It was kind of weird because I came in wearing a salmon jacket, and this is kind of like a small town, so everybody's really conservative. And I got this black dude that rolls in. It's all Caucasian wedding, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be your MC, and I opened up the wedding by basically saying yo, I'm Morgan's brother that was adopted. You just never heard of me, but I'm coming back to MC. And it was really down to earth. It was really fun, and MCing weddings that you actually know nobody at, and you're getting hired to do. You're almost like a fake impostered family or something like that. Right. So, anyways,
but you can do whatever you want. It's
fun. Yeah, it's fun because a lot of people, I think, on within their bridal parties and stuff, just didn't like to get up and public speak. And I can attest that as I speak now. I did not realize how afraid people are of public speaking. Yeah. And people say all the time, do you get nervous about speaking? And I'm like, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Sometimes I'll even wear black because I'm like, man, if I start sweating, I gotta wear an undershirt because it's not easy, But one thing that comforts me, and actually one of my guests said it best, the most recent guest I had, which is Jason Mayden from Nike, is he said, I'm never going to self-doubt myself based on the opinions of another man or woman, because he said, in life, to think that you're somebody that's better than anybody else is wrong, in the sense that you're going to die one day, everybody in this room filming is going to die one day, and to actually think to you're as temporary as I am. So next time you go speak, Eric, I think my challenge to Eric in 2018 is to do some speaking. When you look at that audience, always know that they're just as temporary as you are. And I think that would actually calm your
I've been asked, but I'm just like, I'm not ready to just jump into that yet.
Do it.
I'll do
that's the only, that's, no, that's
do a few more of these shows, you know, and we'll get there.
That's the only way you get. Make sure everybody on Instagram Live, heart it up, please. I want to see some hearts to the video there. We're having fun. But Eric, I mean, your question, man.
Yeah. We're both here to talk, well, we talk about business and branding and marketing. That's my show. And you're a big marketing guy.
Yep.
What is the next big wave of marketing, 2018, 2019, whatever it may be? Maybe an app, platform, whatever, like what?
You know what?
Do you think is...
Mark Zuckerberg just posted something on his profile. I don't know if it was today or yesterday or in the last few days, and he basically said, it's just kind of like I call it like a PSA, a public service announcement, where he said, you know, we've gotten a lot of feedback from our community on Facebook, and basically they're tired of seeing so many ads.
Right.
And he said the whole core and principle off of Facebook is to really create that one-to-one community and to go back to the whole friend mentality. So if I'm a business owner right now and I'm predicting what Facebook's algorithm is going to be doing in the next 6 to 12 months is, even if you have $1 million and you want to spend that whole $1 million on Facebook, you're not going to be able to. You're going the cost of entry into even advertising on Facebook, even though I love Facebook, is going to become harder. Meaning, can you advertise on Facebook and be successful? 100%. I think it's actually going to get better. However, you need to make sure that whatever you're advertising is strategic, is not going to be annoying, is going to be valuable,
right,
is going to be the pieces of content that actually people want to see. Because Mark Zuckerberg, what he said basically through that message is, we're going to like get that algorithm down even more. We want to make sure that if Eric does not want to see golf clubs, we are not showing you golf clubs.
Right.
And if I can give an example, I'm a big analogy guy, but if Eric's here, Facebook's here, and the business is here, the business has to advertise through Facebook. Facebook's the conduit to get to Eric. I need to make sure as a business owner, let's say I have $100,000 every 2 months to spend on advertising. Why would I want, you know, 40,000 to go to some bonehead over here that's not even in the market for my product? So it's going to help out the advertiser and the company, because Facebook's going to save you from yourself in the sense of
reaching the wrong audience.
Yeah, reaching the wrong audience. Eric is going to be much more happier because he's actually seeing ads of things that he's actually wanting and actually, you know, in the market for. Facebook's loving because they're still making money, but still appeasing the whole fundamental that Facebook was born on, which was, you know, college room dormitory. Like, yo, we're just homies, right? So next big wave. I think marketing and advertising is getting to a place, and I'm sorry, you can't buy it. You cannot buy it. I literally, I'm always reaching for my phone, but organic is the way to go. And I'm going to give everybody a nice Instagram hack right now. If you have an Instagram profile and you are a company, if that Instagram profile has not been switched to a business profile on Instagram, go to the wheel settings, switch it down to the business profile, and make sure that it's a business profile. Now, when we all know that highlights came out on the new Instagram, right? So you can see people's highlights. People are treating highlights as though it's like an actual highlight. If you go to @RyanHoltz1 on Instagram, you're gonna see my highlights are titled, clearly defined. Food, family, foodie family.
Love your fam pics, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Lifestyle, and then services.
Right.
This has been a B2B play. Last week alone, I got about 6 hardcore leads of other businesses that were on Facebook that said, yo, Ryan, man, I know you own a marketing company, but I just didn't think about it. I was going through your highlights, and I didn't even know you offered these services.
Right.
Huge hack.
Categorize what people are.
Categorize your highlights and make sure that the highlights are like, you know, if it's going to be family photos, like people often will kind of come at me and say, Ryan, man, you're Ryan Holtz 1. Now I do have a Holtz Marketing and I got a Ryan Holtz Show podcast handle. I like the Ryan Holtz Show podcast handle because I feel like, okay, we can put out some stuff there. I haven't even posted on my Holtz Marketing because I built my whole business on the premise of my funnel is always at the top, meaning you're going to say, who's this crazy guy? Like what he's putting out. Let's dive into him. What does he do? And then you're going to be like, yo, Ryan, like, do you do that? And that's how I've gotten all my business. And clients have told me, and this also is a crux, Ryan, we do business with you because we actually feel like we're talking to you.
Right.
Now, on the flip side of that, I've also, you know, when you lose clients or something happens, they feel like you've established that personal relationship. So people always say, how do you, you know, that professional and personal, how do you keep a line? And, you know, that's one thing I will caution people over, but Instagram highlights and Instagram, for me, if you're in 2018 right now, Instagram has 30 times the engagement rate of Facebook. If I post a picture right now, and even with the new algorithm that Instagram came out, it's still far better. But we know that at some point, you're gonna have to pay for that.
Yeah.
Right now, it's free. So here's what I do every day on Instagram. I go to 10 random people who follow me. I look at their grid. I comment on 3 of their pictures. I then send them a direct message and say, thank you so much for following. Just want to send you some love. It's work.
Yeah.
But man, my engagement, it's real.
There you go.
Real talk?
Yeah.
So anyways.
Moral of the story, be you, be organic, be real, put out great content, and that's the best advertising.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
And that's why we do things like this show. You know, it's for our audience, for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. I was going to ask you, so what medium do you like? Facebook, podcast, LinkedIn, Instagram? You know why? Because I really see you heavy in LinkedIn too.
Yeah.
Comment posts, put awesome posts out there. People are loving it. I see the comments, right?
Yeah.
What do you like out of all of them? Are they all the same? Do you have to be everywhere, you know?
That question is fundamentally, do you have to be on every platform? That question is very 2013 in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is it's 2013 in terms of the cynicism that, and kind of the introspection that we should take to it. It's very, very apparent today, and I always tell people, if you're kind of getting into the social media or you're trying to be successful, definitely don't come in and try to be successful at 5. Start 1. LinkedIn is something that I've definitely taken a little bit more serious, probably literally in the last maybe 3-4 months, because my LinkedIn, and shame on me, was sitting there and basically I was just posting.
Right.
And that was already against my own rules, where I always say in social media, I never ever just post. You never just post. I don't want to be a broadcaster in the sense that I'm, firing information at everybody expecting them to listen. Why should they have to listen, right? LinkedIn is huge for B2B, but I want to say a few things here. Number 1, and maybe it's going to be number 1, 2, and 3 is, if you are audacious, you can't swear on this show, can you?
You 100% can.
If you're going to be an audacious bastard to actually think that people have the time to view and like your shit, you are an egotistical asshole. Ego's the enemy. What I mean by this is, people, their time is so valuable. And in marketing, it's kind of like Gary Vee says, we day trade people's attention.
Right.
Attention is the key and it is the goal. But podcasting, I love podcasting, and it's weird because I was going to do the YouTube channel hard, didn't do that. Going to do the email newsletter hard. Okay, 2% open rate. Does email still work? Sure, it might still work, for some certain situations, but whatever. The podcast I love because, you know what, Eric? I feel that if you want to listen to the Ryan Holtz Show podcast, I don't have to throw it down your face. You can choose when you want to hear it. You can choose if you want to hear it, and you can passively consume.
Right.
And passive consumption, I think, in 2018 for any company or person or anything that's trying to get a little bit of attention, I think that whatever content you put out, you need to find the medium that will allow your end consumer to view it, to enjoy it when they want, how they want, and it's all about them. LinkedIn, love LinkedIn, great B2B, podcast, passive consumption.
People want to save time. I love podcasts.
They want to save
driving.
They want to save time.
Yeah.
They want to save time.
But yeah.
What do you think about the world only showing? And this is my. You know what the new wave is? Not just marketing. The new wave in 2018, 2019, in my opinion, is going to be vulnerability and showing the world more of full self. It's even Jason Mayden from Nike. He said it really good. And I want you to listen to this episode because he's a wordsmith. But he says, "Be your full true self on purpose." And he said it's interesting. People will go to school, industrial way of thinking, right? Go to kindergarten to grade 12. I just had Natalia Chai, who's a Asian R&B singer, pharmacist, and it was amazing because she talked about a lot of the pressures in Asian culture from parents at a young age to go to school, become a doctor, pharmacist, do all these things. I had a lot of Asian people who were like, "I'm a pharmacist too." Literally chime in and talk about passion.
Right.
But what was amazing is no matter how far we go in life and we start here, even if we are good boys and good girls or good whatever, we come in, we go to school, we're told to go to post-secondary, get a degree, and that's the way that sets you free. If you're if you're a cultured family or your parents have immigrated over, education has always been a key of success and a key of breaking out and breaking into the world. Entrepreneurship 15 years ago, startups, it was not sexy, man. We never talked about that. Now, you're seeing a lot of people in the world today who literally went to med school. So now I'm a cardiologist. I went to like post-secondary for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and not to mention the financial investment that goes into that, is now coming out and saying, maybe that's not really my passion. So you're starting to see a lot of people kind of peak up and say, my God, you're talking about somebody in Singapore, because our world now, in my opinion, is not big. It's very small because technology has connected everybody. What is your opinion of people now saying, I can't just live my everyday life as only half of myself. I want to show my full self. Instagram, why I show my family, and yes, I'm cautious on how much I show, and you're not going to see a lot of shots of my home and things like that because my profile is open, and my son is the utmost, and I still think of security and things like that. But I don't want to always show Ryan in the great light. I showed a picture the other day of us just waking up in the morning, hadn't brushed our teeth, hadn't had a shower. My wife and my son and my dog Oomsy, we're just chilling. Yeah. And man, people they send messages and like, Ryan, I love how real that is. What's your opinion of that?
I love that. The posts that engage the most for me are the ones I speak about the challenges that go into everyday life being here, right? Or whatever I'm going through in my life. And I'll speak about it a bit, and people will comment on that, and that's the most engaging, right? So I think people, especially with Instagram and the bloggers and everything that's out there, they just shine that light on the good side of things, but they don't show their real side of things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think people actually want to see the journey, and that's what they're interested in, right? It's almost like the reality TV thing, and they want to learn along the way, and they want to see what the struggles are, and a lot of people are watching, like, so the 90%, 10% ratio, and they might go through the same challenges and struggles, but don't reach out to anybody and ask them. So when they read about it, it's something they take away, and I think that's really important.
One thing I want to bring up too is, recently I've spoken at quite a few schools, and I speak about mental health, bullying, online bullying, and suicide. And to see kids that are in junior high, grade 7, one child to kill themselves is like one too many. And one thing that I feel is on like me as a person, as a responsibility, is if I don't show my true self, like for instance, right, a vulnerable thing for me is at 13, my mom passed away. My mom was a single mom, and I carried my mom's dead body in my hands. Okay, that was a traumatic moment for me. Now, people would have said, well, geez, Ryan, like, what the hell happened after that? I could have became a drug dealer. I knew all these, I have friends that, man, they were deceased a long time ago. So if we grew up, and went to school and high school, we've all known some people who went down shady lane, and, but you try to keep yourself, out of the mix of that. But if I didn't tell my truth, how could you actually have any kind of like respect and feel any credibility from me? And I feel that now, especially when we're given phone and technology, it's our responsibility as individuals to always show our truth. And if somebody says, like, even for me, if a client says, Ryan, you're wearing Nike Air Maxes and we feel this is not good and we can't do business with you, fuck you.
Yeah.
If you can't do business with me because of certain things like that, then probably not a client I want anyway. And I've recently kind of came out of the gate and said, I'm not going to do a suit and tie all the time. I'm going to start throwing some different mix into it and see how the perception comes in.
Almost like that was kind of your branding in a sense too, right?
Well,
but people change and grow, and you gotta be you.
Well, and now it's to the point that I'm like, no, I got to be a little real and have a little bit of fun. But I'm really trying to gauge people. All my conversations and interactions with people now are very, very on purpose, and they're very, very in depth. And I feel like this is now my way of really filtering out who's crap and who's not. Because if Eric Chang doesn't tell all of Eric Chang, man, there's some kids in Singapore or China or wherever that would say, holy crap, I relate to that guy because I've been through that too.
Right.
And we've all been through some stuff. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think the more you've been through, the more you can help others go through that.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really key. I want to chat about the automotive here a little bit, right?
Sure.
You're an automotive marketing expert for those guys who are tuning in for that too.
Sure.
In general.
Sure.
And for myself. What do you feel the biggest gap is? And I know you teach a lot on marketing. What do you feel the biggest gap is for dealerships or even salespeople, like, in that world?
The automotive industry is tricky, and it's pickly and kind of interesting in the sense because you have the manufacturer, and then you have the dealer, and then you have the consumer. The gap between the manufacturer, the dealer, and the consumer is actually quite large. For being an industry that's obviously mega bucks, because if you look on the road, look how many cars are out there right now. The industry, in my opinion, it needs a lot it needs a lot more refining. But if you go into the history of automotive, and you find out how, a lot of dealerships are owned through succession. You have big groups like Auto Canada that are buying up a lot of the market share in certain provinces and things like that. Leads to the question, is that good for the consumer? Because if I'm auto dealer A and I screw you on a deal, and then you go to auto dealer B, but it's owned by the same person,
right?
Don't know if that's the best. However, dealers, I think, are coming a long way. I think that, salespeople, instead of having maybe 30, 40 salespeople on a floor at a larger dealership, you're seeing that number now chopped in half, because the salespeople are starting to use things like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat to market themselves and go direct to the consumer.
Right.
I think you have to be cautious on that too, because you do have something AMVIC, which basically governs the advertising and the messaging that's going on in the consumer in Alberta, OMVIC in Ontario. However, I feel like there's a lot of ego inside of the auto community and dealerships, and I think that for me, the curated group of dealers that I work with, and I say curated as a very, very big word, because there's a lot of dealerships I would never work with, and I don't work with, and I've rejected to work with. But the dealers that I do work with, they are all on the same page in the sense that they want to figure out how to expedite the buying and selling process.
Right.
They want to figure out how to give better customer service. They want to make sure that when you bring that car back in for service, that the level of service that you're getting is absolutely amazing. And they run their company like a business, Automotive, for years, I think, has had a lot of shade on it because it's, kind of used car salesman type of vibe that's put out. But I was fortunate enough when I did work at a dealership to start at, Zender Ford, which, Chad and his family over there, they're first class. And it's, still to this day, I walk around, like, when I go into a dealership, I'm like, holy crap, like, I think I did understand the opportunity that I had, but man, I have so much respect for a well-run establishment, because I've seen others that are just, it's chaotic, right? I think automotive is a great industry, but just like I tell anybody in business, even though that's my niche, I very seldom pull any good ideas from there. I'm always looking at other industries so that I can have a direct impact in that industry.
I want to chat about salespeople for a second, and there's where that bad rep comes in.
Sure.
Whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
But what separates the 1% top sales? There's so many salespeople, but there's going to be that 1% who are just amazing and make the big bucks. It comes, the perks with that. What separates that 1% from everybody else on the floor?
They work their face off. They work their ass off. They show up. They work in the sense of, first of all, the number one salespeople, or the top salespeople that I've met, are the most empathetic and humble.
Right.
If somebody talks too much and they're a salesperson, I don't want to generalize, but I want to say do your homework, because the top salespeople that I've seen in auto and in real estate, very, very humble individuals, because they're constantly trying to learn. They're constantly trying to get product knowledge. They are focusing on the tools that they have, which is Facebook, Twitter, or social media. They are constantly opening themselves up to be subject to advice and criticism. Constant dialogue with their customer to ask, how was my service? How could I be better? They're constant students. They're just constantly trying to get better. Yes, they're putting in the hours. The car business, to be successful, is not an easy industry to be in. Very competitive. And look how many car dealerships there are out there. Like, you have a choice.
Yeah. But you're competing internally.
Absolutely.
Too, right?
Where you do see on the floor the biggest mishap is you do still have some, if we'll call OGs, you got some OGs that are still like, yo, this digital stuff, I'm not feeling this right now. And you still got some young heads a lot of young heads are like, they're not doing anything with the digital. Social media for me and digital, I love it, but I also am in a bad marriage with it, in the sense that I feel that it's taking over your life.
Right.
And I think it's a slippery slope between letting that phone take over your life and actually living life. Okay?
So I guess to wrap that one up is put in the time, put in the effort, give as much real value to the customer, right?
Absolutely.
People just trying to sneak the deal.
Yeah, know your craft. And then the one thing I'll always say to everybody, and this is the biggest statement ever, is never sell the car. Sell the need that the car will fill. Meaning, I'm a mom, I'm a soccer mom, okay, or I'm a dad.
Yeah.
Whatever issue I have, find the right product for me. So many people put up a picture of a front grille of a car. Dealerships, manufacturers, front left side of the vehicle. How many?
Right.
Go on Facebook right now. Front left side of the vehicle. I don't give a shit about the vehicle.
Yeah.
I've seen what a 2000 blah blah BMW looks. I've seen what a Toyota. I know. I can visualize it. Put up something that associates my problem with that solution.
Right. Yeah.
Creative, man.
Yeah.
It's marketing. If everybody puts up the same damn thing, it's the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Cool. You help consumers. I think I read on your site that you help consumers sometimes negotiate the best deal with you. Is that true?
Yeah, so I have a lot of, it's interesting because sometimes when people will Google car dealerships, like I come up a lot on Google, and I've had numerous car buyers actually message me and say, I would love for you, like your guidance on how to buy a vehicle. I'm not a licensed salesperson in Alberta to sell a vehicle. But I am definitely within my rights to give advice in terms of, and I tell them literally things like this: shop around, look at reviews, okay? Don't look at reviews just from the dealers. Look at independent reviews. I always encourage them, please put it on your Facebook. I'm thinking about buying XYZ vehicle.
There's gonna be one or someone on there
has
some sort of experience,
absolutely.
Right?
Take your time, and I tell them, I'm like, listen, you have your budget, you have your problem. What's the solution? Pros and cons. Be very educated into what you want. Because I said, listen, I know sometimes, and dealers are really good at this, selling based on emotion, mental ownership through digital. However, when you buy a vehicle and you know your budget's this, I always try to educate them on the financial impact. Because, like, even, we talk, one of my dealer clients, for instance, we had a guy that came from a different dealer. And I said, why did you switch dealers? Like, you're doing good over there. Mm-hmm. And he said, I didn't feel ethical. Because he said, for instance, we had a single mom come in, 3 kids, making ends meet, just trying to get by, and we put her into a loan that's terrible. The vehicle, like she's buried in it.
Right.
I tell people, don't worry about the car, make sure you can afford it. One question out there, I tell everybody right now, if you go into a dealership, they'll ask you, what payment do you want to be at per month? Please write this down in your show notes. What payment do you want to be at per month? The biggest question ever, $500. So they always do the white paper, flip it over, do the circle. $500 per month, Eric? You can afford $500? Okay, I'm gonna go work really hard for you with my manager. Okay, go to manager, come back.
That's a tactic, back and forth.
In that $500, now let's say you paid your car loan 12 months. 500 times 12 months, $6,000, right? You're like, geez, I bought the car, it was like $25,000. How come there's $1,000 only off? Let's assume you did a 0% finance. Or even a 0.1 or a 1.1, whatever they got going on. In that $500, Eric, $50 is Pro Pack, $50 warranty. Out of that $500 per month,
how much what's cost?
You're maybe gonna have $200 going to that principal.
Right.
When I tell consumers and they go to the dealership, how much is the vehicle? How much is the vehicle? Okay, cool. What's the interest rate? Please, for the love of God, if you do not know how to work out an interest rate on a $29,000 vehicle over the course of the loan, maybe a 60-month loan, whatever it is, call up a friend who's a math person and get them to figure out the calculation. And you should be there. That's it. It's very simple.
Yeah.
But when they go in that dealership, what happens? The consumers, they usually, I wanted this model. Now they're showing you the wheels, the tires.
Here's where I see they lose.
Yeah.
That person finds that out 1 year in. Now they tell 10 people about that bad situation.
Yeah.
And then, that's it. And not even that. They put it on social media.
Yeah.
Thousands of people instantly, right?
Yeah,
so
and I'm sure you have friends on it. I'm sure you know people who've been displeased with their process, with the, when they went and bought a vehicle that aren't happy. It's still happening in droves. I mean, on the opposite side, there's also a lot of great car dealerships out there. And, I'm not going to name names, but, do your homework. Because I can tell you right now, in Edmonton, it's very drastic where you'll see like a dealer where I'm like, I would never buy a car there. And then I know another dealer where I'm like, I would love to buy a car there. And I would love to buy a car there. And I tell consumers this first and foremost. At some point, that dealership, that car you buy is going to need to be serviced. You need to make sure you like the dealership. Yes, you can go to another dealership, but try to buy from a dealership you'd actually see yourself taking your car to get serviced to. A great service department, they'll come out, they'll tell you what the problem is, be very forthright. They're not going to try to overcharge you on hours in the stall. They're going to educate you on what's going on with your vehicle. And yes, service advisors upsell all the time. You go in for like a wheel alignment.
Yeah.
Eric, your wheels got 50%, that alternator, hey, little things like that. But a good advisor will always educate you.
Tell you the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Education is key.
We talk about cars lots. What's your dream car? Any car, anything.
Here's the funny thing.
What would it be?
Here's the funny thing. I could care less about cars.
Right.
I'm not a gearhead at all. Yeah. I don't care for cars. I mean, I'm a business guy. I'm a finance guy. The worst investment I could ever buy is a vehicle.
Right.
You know this. I like putting my money in real estate. I love real estate and stocks. However, I'm a BMW guy. I love BMW. I do love BMW.
Yeah.
I'm a BMW dude. I recently bought a cargo box for the top of my X5, and my car is all blacked out. I like my black rims and my black tint with my beige interior. I've always loved BMW. I had an X3 before. They've treated me really well. Another fun fact about me: I never buy my vehicles anew, ever. Never buy them new, ever.
So would you say that is a piece of advice you get everyone out there?
With a huge disclaimer of I'm not responsible for your purchase, meaning if you're buying a used vehicle, God, you need to do more research, okay? But I obviously have the privy of knowing really cool people in the industry, so I mean, I kind of know what I'm getting. But I do tell people on a financial way. For me, my whole thing is I buy a vehicle that's always 2-3 years old. Meaning, if I want a 2018 BMW comes out, I'll go get a 2015, 16,
right.
Because I can get a lot of vehicle, and that I'll let somebody else take the bad investment on the depreciation, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people debate, right? I buy my vehicles cash. I don't do the loan on that. A lot of dealers will tell you, yo, dude, that's stupid. Why would you buy it cash? But I feel like if I can get a good enough deal, I just don't like that payment per month.
Right.
Okay. So.
Cool. You're in the mountains half the time. You mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Not everyone I know does that. So tell me about that. Like, you have a home here, you have a home there. You love being in the mountains. Is it a good getaway from your everyday life?
Yeah, it's kind of like Batman when he goes and hides. He's got his thing. I mean, Ryan Holtz Podcast is based in British Columbia. We got a studio set up and everything there at the house. And Fairmont is something that I was introduced to actually through my wife when I first met her, and we went out there and just decided we really love the place. It started out, we'd go out every few months, and then we're there 5 days a month, and then 5 days a month was 10 days a month, and then we said, we're gonna make the switch and do 2 weeks, and we love it, obviously, and she's a business owner too, but we have the flexibility in our schedules to do that. And I think, the biggest thing I want to encourage everybody is, people talk about retirement all the time, and investment and RSPs and savings accounts.
Hoping for that one day when they're 65, 70.
I'm not actually hoping for that day.
Yeah.
The only day, I'm not egotistical enough to think that I'm going to live long, in the sense that the only day I'm really guaranteed, like people say, what part of your life did you like the most? Jason, again, on my episode, he enlightened me, but I asked him, did you enjoy, this guy literally, and this is a fun story, he got his mom at 12 or 13 or 14 or something like that, to go into Foot Locker, and he would write 120 sketches of the shoes.
Right.
Which is our guy there, the first guy that you mentioned, that's how he got in. I mean, what 19-year-old first colored person in Nike under Air Jordan gets mentored by him? Mm-hmm. That's work. However, going back into the mix of it, Fairmont, kind of sliding through to retirement, I never wanted to live a life right now that I was actually waiting to retire. Say that out loud. I'm living a life now that I'm actually looking forward to retirement. Kind of means you don't like your life right now.
Right.
That's really not smart. So when I hear people, I'm going to retire at 65, first of all, if I never do any work, what would I do? I can only go travel the world so much.
I like that balance. Because people are I'm waiting 65 to do this crazy adventurous trip and hike XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know you could do that at 65?
If
you never know, right? So it's
I tell people,
balance.
Go, and this is a huge topic, but we have the Cross Cancer Society, one of the best, finest medical places, in probably the world, in North America. Mm-hmm. Go talk to a patient who has cancer when they're 41 and ask them what they were planning to do when they're 65, and now they're actually thinking, not really going to make it there.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, and come on, I know you're spiritual in some aspects where the value of life is today, and I'm not saying be irresponsible and make decisions and go spend all crazy money and not plan for tomorrow, but don't be egotistical about tomorrow and think that you're guaranteed that. Really live in today. People's time is of the utmost asset that they have. When I come and speak to you today, that you're taking my time, I'm taking your time, I have a straight up respect for your time. Straight up, when people talk to me or comment or on my photo or do this, I think people think, oh, I'm just like Ryan. Man, no, I don't think you should. The fact that one person's willing to even interact with me, I'm blessed.
Cool. So to wrap up,
Yes.
As we're talking marketing, branding,
Yes.
Business. What is one huge piece of advice to give to the audience out there, business, personal, whatever it may be, that you'd say? I know, there's no doubt it's very critical to build your personal brand out there. What would that piece of advice be to do that?
Tell your truth. Plain and simple. Just tell your truth. Your truth is coming. It's coming. It's going to be unleashed. I mean, the more and more this social media beast heads on, because if you're claiming things that didn't happen, if you're trying to follow and unfollow, follow and like for like, follow and follow, do all this crap, I mean, you're going to be put on blast. It's gonna happen really quick. The truth is the only thing that sets you free. Taking that concept of showing your truth and then actually putting it into something tactful. Once you have your truth, just be yourself on Instagram, be yourself on Snapchat. I tell people always want best practices and like percentage wise. For instance, my company, when I talk about marketing, I very seldomly talk about the fact that I'm even own a marketing company. So I mean, I would say it's 80% Ryan in life, 20% business, and usually when I talk about business, it's not a direct ask, it's some sort of piece of content that I feel would help you out a bit. I think that people can use all their social channels. I think if you're somebody who's a writer, and this is something here's my weakness right now, everybody. If you're watching and you're a fantastic writer, send me a DM on Instagram, you help a brother out, because writing for me, I have great ideas, but as a copywriter, I respect somebody so much that can actually translate thoughts and make love to words. And for me, if you're a writer right now and you're not blogging or you're not writing short little stories on Facebook, you're crazy. So if you're a writer, you have a talent. If you're somebody that's remotely gifted with Gab, see you Instagram Live. If you're remotely somebody that's gifted with Gab, man, podcasting.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see everybody start up a podcast, but take what you have and hedge your bet on that, because some people say, like even Eric, I'm not really comfortable speaking, but man, look at all your other talents. So look at what you're talented. I would pursue that. Confidence builds, obviously.
Right. And
then figure out which platform's best. If you're a photographer, Instagram. If you're somebody who knows how to write catchy taglines, you're a Facebook dream, but you're also an Instagram dream. If you're somebody that loves, like, you can just make a story out of like this room and make it really cool, Instagram stories, Snapchat, Facebook stories. It's a creator's day and age, and by creator,
double down on your own talent.
Double down on the talent.
Yeah.
Double down, triple down.
So try not to. I think a lot of people try to beat other people out there.
Oh,
right. So
how many people have you met where you've seen them online and you meet them and they're like quiet as quiet could be?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
And I like that about you. You're transparent, and that's a huge topic. I mean, when I meet Eric offline, Eric is exactly the same offline as I would expect him online. You are very much you. And I mean, I respect that. And I think that people out there that are trying to give a different persona, well, what happens when you actually got to meet one day?
Yeah.
It's going to be awkward.
True. Cool. So, we'll wrap it up here. You're a busy guy. And
yeah, man.
I
appreciate
we
that.
got to do this again, though.
Absolutely.
And we got to do your podcast again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would love to. We can do a 12 TV and Ryan Holtz Show podcast all in the same room.
Where does the audience find you? I think they want to find the podcast.
Podcast is just go to ryanholtz.ca/podcast, or just Google Play, SoundCloud, iTunes, Ryan Holtz Show podcast, and at Ryan Holtz 1 on any platform. I'm easy to find.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Coolio, man. Appreciate that.
Thanks so much, man.
Appreciate that.
Thanks so much.
Boom, Dizzo.
Get it another year, let's get it another year, get better, blood and tears get shedded. The sweating coming with the music though, speaking with my feelings in it with nowhere near regretting it. And what I smoking right is therapeutic, and she wanna leave cause she require my mind. I'm focused on success and that requires my time.